Okay, on the last parking lot wars drag race, underground drag race, I kind of hit the wall and broke my HPI RS4 Sport 3. So broke the carrier. And here's the other part, which is it's here. So everything came apart. I still have all the parts. Did not lose a dry shaft. Did not lose anything. So that was good. So now I'm going to take it apart and fix it. And I'm going to go step by step or how I'm doing it. I'm not actually not going to do it on camera, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. Yes, it is rough underneath it because we don't sweep the road, and this thing is very low to the ground. So it was a lot of fun. Let's take the cap off and start fixing this thing. Okay. This thing does come with, the Mach-E did come with a brushless system. Brushless ESC from HPI. So I can't remember the kV on it. I have to pull the specs on it. But I'll put a link to the website underneath this video here. And I really did not tweak anything. I left the suspension how it was, right from factory. You can see there, this thing is very low in the front. It's actually touching because I'm missing the wheel here. So basically, this is the part tree that you need, upright set from HPI. And you basically get two carriers, two C-hub, well, 4 C-hubs. You get the rear carriers and you get the two fronts. What is nice about this, and these are actually spacers to put in between the two bearings, it doesn't matter. Right and left carrier is the same thing, so which means I'll have a spare. So if ever I break it again, I still have a spare, which is a good thing. So next time I go racing, I'll try to remember to bring these things with me. So like I said, these two are pretty much they are exactly the same. So it doesn't matter if you use them on the right or left. What I like about this car, yes, they're not a lot of tuning. Usually the A-arms and things like that, you can actually turn the turnbuckles and adjust them. There is upgrades for this to actually get this done, but this is stock. So everything just pops off. To actually get this off, just twist it and pop it off, and that's what I'll do. And then we can take this carrier out, take the wheel off, there, so I can get this back in the new piece. So there we go. I just popped that right off with my pair of pliers, and then I notice here there's one screw to remove. Then I'll be able to take this carrier off. There we go. Just take that off. It is threaded only at the end of it, and then this comes right off. Here's a dry shaft. I don't think I heard anything else, which is good. And then this just pops. This you can just twist it off, and it's going to pop right off. I have to take this off and put it onto the new part. And to take this off, one screw to remove there, and I believe the top one should be the other one here. Let's take this puppy apart. Took the screw out for the bottom piece, so it came right out. To get this out, what people don't realize and know sometime, this little tool that you get in most of all the kits, I got a bunch of these now, actually fits right on the ball end there. So you actually insert that in there, twist it off, and you don't need a special socket because mostly all the kits now come with this. There we go, everything is apart. One thing I like to do is keep these parts close by, especially on the angle, because the ball end was screwed on this side, so I'm going to keep this to actually remind me of what side it was actually on. and this is actually off also. So 3 screws, 4 screws to take off, and now I can put the other part back on. What I like to do to cut this off is use what's called a flush cutter. The reason this is a flush cutter and not a side cutter, it is a side cutter, but this is flush, and this is very well used and abused, is when you cut your piece, it actually goes right against it, and it puts everything flush, and it doesn't stick out or it cuts it flush. So it does a much better a flush cutter than a side cutter. So like you can see, I've actually cut this off, and it's very flush, nothing sticking out, looks very clean. So now it's time to put it back together and make it go. And like I said, I like keeping the part there. Sometime I leave it on until it's time to actually transfer it, so I know actually what side, and I don't not by mistake put it backward. So that little nut is going to go right on here. There we go, first part on it. Now I'm going to put it in the C-hub. Time to tighten up the top one. One thing with this is the top one I tightened it pretty tight and it was loose, but now the bottom one I tighten it and it doesn't fall by itself. So I'm going to loosen up that a little bit so it actually is loose and has no problem turning. So you can tell now I can just lift it up. I basically turned it just like not even an eighth of a turn, just a little bit. And now it's loosey. So now I'll take the part off of the wheel and stick it in there, the drive shaft. Or the shaft, not the drive shaft. There, took it off. The nut was kind of hard to take off because it did kind of melt in there, I guess, when they installed it. So a piece of plastic stayed there. So to remove this, I have to pop this. It is on the little pin. And then in the center, they do have a small washer, which you get with those. But I'm going to reuse this one because there's no problem with this. It's still very good. So I'll pop this, take it this off, and reinstall it in the new carrier. There we go. Took it all apart. Shaft, bearing, spacer, bearing, pin, and then the hex. And I did clean up little plastic that was in the thread. It's always nice to keep it clean because when you put it back on there, you don't want anything to be in the way. Come on, focus camera. Having issues with my camera. Okay. So what I did is I inserted the bearing, inserted the spacer, and then I'm going to insert it from the back and push it forward. I did a mistake just because of when the C-hub is on the carrier. It's impossible to put the drive shaft in there, so it's better to put the drive shaft once before you actually put it on the C-hub. So I'll put this in there. There we go, it's inserted. And how you know if it's far enough, usually as soon as the hole basically passes the front, that's when you know it's pretty deep enough. Anyways, you'll feel it that it's actually there. So I'll put the other bearing in there. The other bearing is there. I did not change the bearings because these are still new and I don't have a lot of mileage on my car, so I'm not going to bother changing the bearings. So I'll put the pin back on and put the hex so nothing falls off. There, once you get the assembly back on and the hex on, everything stays there and nothing's going to fall off. So now I'm going to put it back on the C-hub. There, now everything's in there. Like you can see, there was no way for me to put it in there once, put the shaft in there once everything is assembled. So yes, you do have to put the shaft in there before everything is assembled. Now put it back on the car. There, now it's installed. Now I have to attach that. But the problem is I've done this so many often and I still screw up. Before putting this on, before putting your top arm on, put the dry shaft in there. So often I build a kit and I go and put everything on together and then I notice, darn, I forgot to put the shaft. So basically, insert the shaft there, tilt that in there, and then you can pop the top one on. So there we go, shaft is installed, everything is still working. I can turn it, nothing's broken. Now I'm going to snap the top on. Now, sometimes pushing on it gets a little hard, and you can't really use a pair of pliers because you got nowhere to actually grab it. Sometimes it's a little tough. So one thing I love to use is the channel locks. So just put it the biggest you want, biggest, not you want, but biggest, and then you just insert it and then squeeze it. I can't do it with one hand, but I'll just snap it in there. There we go, top one is on also. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I put a little bit smaller, and then I'll be able just to snap this one together. There we go, she's all better now. So I'll put the wheel back on and show you how much this thing is close to the ground. You can adjust it, you can just with the shocks, and there's ways to adjust it to give it more lift, but this is a speed little demon, so you want it hugging the ground as much as you want, as much as you can. I did do the upgrade on here, the steering upgrade from Exotech. It's a must for the RS4. I have no more rock binding issue. Before, this arm is actually used to be on the bottom, and now it moved everything to the top. So now I have no rock binding issues on this, because before, as soon as I played on outside in the dirt or on the rock, this thing, I was losing steering. So let me put it back together. There we go, she's all back together, and as you can see, there's not a lot of room under there. It's almost touching the ground. So there's not a lot of room. Yes, I could put the suspension a little tighter in the front because it is getting a little older, or check the oil because it looks like it, I don't think it leaked, but the rear is a little higher. But let me tell you, this suspension is tight. And now, time to get it back on the road. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later. Please like, comment, and share if you like this video. And if you'd like to see anything, let me know. Till then, go charge up some batteries. Go out there, break something. Because if you haven't broken anything, you're not having fun. Talk to you guys later. Cheers.